Welcome to It's Good to Be Smart. I'm your host, Dr. Dave Mulder. I love to learn new things, and I hope you do too, because it's good to be smart. Today, we're diving into the building blocks of everything around us, elements and compounds. What are they? How are they different? And why do they matter? Let's get started. Imagine this. You're swimming in a lake, and water is everywhere. You know that water, or H2O, is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. So you should be able to breathe the water just like you'd breathe air, because there's oxygen in both of them, right? Wrong. Please don't stick your head underwater and take a big inhale. That is definitely going to end badly for you. You can breathe air, but you can't breathe water. Okay, but what's the deal? Water's made up of hydrogen and oxygen, isn't it? So why can't we breathe water? The short answer is, even though every gulp of water has an enormous number of oxygen atoms in it, the water you're swimming in has totally different properties than the oxygen gas we need to survive. Why is that? To answer that question, we need to understand elements, compounds, atoms, and molecules. Let's start with the basics. Elements. An element is a pure substance made of only one type of atom. Atoms are the building blocks of matter, kind of like Lego bricks. Each element is its own unique type of atom, which is why we have so many different substances in the universe. For example, the element we call gold is made entirely of gold atoms, and the element we call oxygen is made entirely of oxygen atoms. Each element is made of just one kind of atom. And here's something cool. There are just 118 known elements, and they're listed on the periodic table. Some, like oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon, are super common and essential for life. Others, like gold or silver or helium, are a bit rarer. And others, maybe some you've never even heard of, like scandium, promethium, and lutetium, are really, really rare. And then there are a few elements that don't even exist in nature. So far as we can tell, elements like plutonium, californium, and einsteinium are only made by scientists in special laboratories. But whether they're common or not so common, the key thing to know about elements is this. No matter how much you cut, smash, or heat an element, you'll never turn it into anything simpler, because it's already as basic as it gets. Now let's consider compounds. When elements combine to form a compound, they create something entirely new. For example, when one carbon atom bonds with two oxygen atoms, you get carbon dioxide, CO2. The tiny clusters of bonded atoms in a compound are called molecules. So you can think of it like this. Elements are made up of atoms, and compounds are made up of molecules, which are combinations of atoms. But here's the really amazing part. The properties of a compound are totally different from the properties of the elements that make it up. Take table salt, or sodium chloride, for example. Sodium, on its own, is a soft, silvery metal that reacts explosively with water. And chlorine is a poisonous green gas. But when you combine them, you get salt. Something stable, edible, and essential for life. Wild, right? The individual elements could literally kill you if you tried to eat them separately, but the compound is perfectly safe. An important thing to know about compounds is that the combinations of two or more different elements are chemically bonded together in a specific ratio. Consider water, for example, which has the chemical formula H2O, two hydrogen atoms bonded to one oxygen atom. Water molecules are always two atoms of hydrogen bonded to one atom of oxygen. And these fixed proportions are really important. This is how we can identify a particular compound. But here's the twist. Hydrogen and oxygen can combine to form several different substances, not just water. Water is H2O. But what if you'd add another oxygen atom to create a different molecule, H2O2? This substance is also one you've probably heard of before. H2O2 is also known as hydrogen peroxide, which is a disinfectant and can be used to bleach hair. But water can't do those things, right? And drinking hydrogen peroxide is a seriously bad idea. It is not the same thing as water. So this is an important point. The proportions of different kinds of atoms in a compound make them very different from other compounds, even if they're made out of the same kind of atoms. The way atoms bond together and the proportions of different numbers of atoms really matter for the properties of the substance that's formed when the atoms bond together. Okay, so what makes elements and compounds uniquely different from each other? How can we keep them straight? Here's the basic difference. Elements are simple, and compounds are complex. Elements are simple. They're made of only one type of atom and cannot be broken down into anything simpler by chemical means. Some easy examples for you would be hydrogen, neon, calcium, and iron. All of these are made up of just one type of atom. Compounds are complex. They're made of two or more different types of atoms bonded together, and they can be broken down into simpler substances, either into their constituent elements or into other compounds. Some common compounds you might know are methane, CH4, which is the primary component in natural gas, sugar, C6H12O6, which is an important source of energy, and ammonia, NH3, which is used as a cleaner and as a fertilizer. Each of these compounds has a unique structure and specific properties thanks to the way their atoms are bonded together. Here's an analogy that might help you keep this straight. Think of it kind of like baking a cake. The individual ingredients like flour and sugar and eggs are kind of like the elements. When you mix them together and bake a cake, you can create something new, a compound. And just like a cake, compounds can't be separated into their original ingredients by simple means. You can't just unbake a cake. Before we wrap up, here are some fun facts about elements and compounds that you might find surprising. Compounds are made up of different combinations of atoms in very specific ways. If you had a collection of just carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, you could still make molecules of sugar, vinegar, alcohol, or vegetable oil, because all of these substances are made of just those three elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Water is the only natural substance that exists in all three phases, solid, liquid, and gas, at Earth's normal temperatures and pressures. No wonder it's so important for life. Your body is made up of mostly just 6 elements. Around 99% of your body is made of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Atoms of these 6 elements are combined into many different complex molecules, from proteins to fats to even your DNA. Wild, right? So there you have it. Elements and compounds are the building blocks of everything in the universe, from the air you breathe, to the water you drink, to the sun in the sky, to your own body. Remember, the key difference is that elements are simple and pure, while compounds are combinations of elements that create something new. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Nice work leveling up your brain power today. Remember, smart isn't something you are, it's something we become as we're learning. So keep listening, keep learning, and keep getting smarter every day. It's Good to Be Smart is created and produced by me, Dr. Dave Mulder, with the support of the National Science Foundation through a Robert Noyce educational grant. Subscribe to this feed so you'll never miss an episode, and check out our home on the web, goodtobesmart.com. And until next time, keep asking questions, stay curious, and keep learning, because it's good to be smart.